Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. This is the TA and chart analysis for January 15th, 2022. No longer in December, we are in January. If you can look on the kind of like monthly chart, I'm doing the 30 minutes on the monthly, but you can actually see like the ass cheeks theory that we actually had before, whereas there was like this one cheek, and then we have the pivot, and then the other cheek. It's not holding water. It's been a little too long since it's dipped, formed the other cheek. We might form an other cheek right here, but it's going to be a lot higher, which would be an uneven butt cheek. Uneven butt cheeks obviously are a sign of cancer, and therefore this theory does not actually hold. But it does look like it's more of like the lower bathtub formation that we're actually looking at, and not like the double dip we're actually looking for. However, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going back up. If you actually look at the graph on a bigger timeline, you can see that this sort of happened back in mid-December, where we actually went up from the low of around 45 to about 51, and then we dumped back down again from 51 again to almost 40. See, this happened right after this dump, and then we had like a little bit of a plateau, just like we dumped from here, had a little bit of a plateau before we dumped down again. So right now we are actually getting to this kind of like plateau up area, and around the 20th or 19th or 20th, probably mid next week, we will actually see if it actually dumps down again. If we dump down again, I think it will be to the $38,000 region, because you can see like this double dump down. This double dump down is just smaller than this double dump down, because like this one we dumped from like roughly basically at the top of 69,000 all the way down to 45,000 or so within the span of a little over a month. Right now we're at December 26th, 27th. On the up, and then like, in 10 days we're going to see if we hit like 38,000 or so. But this slope is a lot gentler than this slope, so I think the bottom here will be from like about 52,000 to maybe about 38,000 if we do dump down. However, if we can rise above the 48,000 area, I think this will invalidate it, because this shape just won't look like a continuation of our dump down from 69,000. It's been about 2 months since our high, so in another 2 weeks I do think we should actually have troughed and have gone back up. I do think like, February will be a good month. I do think overall February will be a good month. Hopefully we can see some volumes actually increase. But right now, it does look like we are going back up a little bit. As you can see on this graph, you can see it a little better. Right now, where we are right now is above here, but not above the 44,000 we were at on the 13th or 14th. I'm really looking to get above that, and if we can actually get above that, the 44,000 area and up to the 48,000 area, I think this downward trend will actually be invalidated, and we will actually go back up. We're just having a lot of red here, as you can see. Like, I do believe like this section right here is a lot like this section right around here, and if we don't get like a bunch of red candles within the next, like 5 days or so, if we don't see this red candle starting in the next 5-6 days, I do think that trend's invalidated and we'll have bottom. And I think like fundamental wise, like the CPI report came out, it did not look nearly as bad as people were expecting. It was as bad about as people as expected, but it wasn't a lot worse. And I think some people were expecting a lot worse. And because it wasn't a lot worse, the bearish sentiment kind of went away. The stock market's kind of like acting the same way. I don't know if they're waiting for another announcement, but like all the crypto legislation coming from Congress is actually a good sign. So I think people are getting a little bit more into crypto because they do want something to hedge against the inflation. And since Bitcoin is not inflatable because it has a set maximum supply, they might finally be looking at that. Of course, consumer confidence continues to have to be somewhat high for people to buy into the assets, and they might actually want to wait until like, a little bit after the new year, after buying presents, everything, to buy their investments. But hopefully they'll start buying in February, maybe March. Maybe they'll want to wait after tax season, but that's never been a big thing. I know the other theory is like Chinese New Year's. That's been always a little bit of a dip, and Chinese New Year's happens at the end of January this year. So like early February, I do think like we'll see some rising. Towards the end of January, we might dump down to the 40,000s again. But the thing is, like, if you look at here, from 51,000 to basically like 40,000. We're at like 44,000. I think like if we don't go below 40,000 again, especially if we don't go below 38,000, I think that will actually hold and people will have a little bit more confidence in the market right now. Like I said, we have this huge pattern basically from here to here. And then hopefully we don't repeat this pattern from here into the future. You can see like even if we do, the slope is a little bit more gradual. So it is calming down. We won't have like the upper dip again in the same percentages. So we are getting better, but I would think that if we don't get a further dip by the end of January, if we're not lower by the end of January, then we would have stabilized out and we will be going up in February. If we're lower in the end of January, like closer to 35,000, we still might have a little ways to go. I personally don't think it'll get to 35 and 30,000, mainly because we don't have the hash rate collapse of the summer, and that's actually what it took to get us to 30,000. If you look at the if you actually look at the Bitcoin hash rate, if you actually look at the Bitcoin hash rate right now, BTC hash rate, it is still quite strong. And Kazakhstan is coming back, so I do think we'll like get into like an all-time high. And if you actually look at the hash rate, as the hash rate built up, the hash rate basically bottomed out in July as well. As the hash rate built up, the market did start coming back. So without this hash rate crash, we shouldn't crash nearly as bad as 30,000 like last time. I know a lot of people are waiting for it because they want to get in like low, but right now I think is a really good time to DCA, and you might be missing the lowest part of the trough if you don't actually get in right now. So on the technical, on the numbers side, the simple move for the daily, the simple moving average says buy, the exponential moving average says sell, but it's so close right now. The exponential moving average would actually say buy for the 10 if we were just like 30 points lower. So I would actually consider this one a neutral. The oscillators basically are all pretty neutral, basically, so there's nothing there. But the signal here on the 10 is actually, I think, is a slight buy right now. Obviously, 20, 30, and 50 are all sell. But the thing is, if we actually come up to 48,000, both 20, 30, and even 50 will be buy. So that's why 48,000, I think, is the magical number right now. And that would actually sort of confirm a new like reversal and an uptrend. So right now, we're looking for that 48,000 mark. We're going to see if we can hit that by early February or even mid-February, because there's Chinese New Year and like there's just people getting like all their finances in store from the end of the year. So after end of January, early February, if we can hit that by like second week of February, that would actually be pretty good. But right now, I think like this really, really short term, it says buy, but just a longer term out, if you're looking for like a week or more, it's still sell right now until the end of January at least on the technicals. And also the 50 EMA is still below the 200 EMA, which means the death cross has not been reversed and we haven't gotten the golden cross yet. On the 1 week, everything is basically neutral at this point. I think the awesome oscillator just went negative, so there's a slight sell there, but the commodity channel index is bordering on sell. I'm bordering on buy because it's almost oversold, and the stochastic is still oversold under 20. So I would say it's pretty neutral. I think if you're buying towards the end of January, just because it's the end of the month, I would say it's slight sell, but I think overall it's pretty neutral. The exponential moving average and the simple moving average, obviously all the moving averages are still sell until you get to the 100. That's like 2 years out, which I don't really look at. Once again, 48,000, around 48,000 seems to be the magic mark, because once you get to the 48,000, a lot of these will start to actually be buy. So 48,000 is definitely like 48,000, 48,500 is the definite bull marker for a lot of these numbers here. On the monthly, we're looking at sell on the 10, but everything else is buy. But once again, if we hit 48,000, these will turn to buy as well. Everything else is basically neutral on the oscillators. So we're actually neutral. We're actually like short-term monthly. We're still on the sell, but once again, hitting 48,500, that would turn it to buy. So right now, between right now and early February, 48,500 is the number you want to look for, and it's confirmed on like several levels if you look at the graphs or if you look at the numbers. I mean, that's like that's also kind of like when the golden cross will actually form, essentially, where the 50 will probably overtake the 200. And that's where a lot of these EMAs and SMAs, both on the weekly, daily, and monthly, will actually flip to positive. So that's the great number you want to look for after Chinese New Year. And after people get settled in for the new year, I do think funds will start buying into it. and big investors will actually start getting in. So February, I think, will be better than January, but January overall hasn't been horrible. But that dump in the beginning of January has people on the fritz because of the CPI. Now that the CPI is over, people should start coming back into the market. And obviously, what I still recommend right now is if you're DCAing or if you're not even buying, I wouldn't sell. I would just definitely buy a yield farming coin like Elrond, VeChain, Luna, or something like that in yield farm. You will be happy that you're not trying to time the top or the bottom, and you're just getting passive income, which you could sell at any time along the line to recover some profits. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.